The stars burned like cold fire in the black sea of space. Dozens of alien warships drifted together in silence, forming a fleet so large that even planets trembled at their approach. They called themselves the Verex Dominion, rulers of 100 worlds, destroyers of 10 civilizations. For centuries, no fleet had ever stopped them. And they were certain this would not be the first time. Their target was a small blue planet on the edge of the Orion Arm. The inhabitants called it Earth. Primitive. Divided. Weak. That was what the Dominion's leaders believed. Their scouts had reported that humans still used basic metal ships and chemical rockets only a few generations ago. To the Dominion, this would not be a war, it would be a cleanup. In the command ship Vortex Prime, Admiral Carthan watched the glowing hologram of Earth spinning slowly before him. His yellow eyes narrowed. "This world has no defense grid," he said, his voice deep and sure. "Their fleet count is minimal. No orbital cannons, no shield towers. One strike, and they will kneel." His officers nodded, eager and proud. The fleet had crushed stronger enemies before. There was no reason to fear this one. But in the dark void between Earth and the stars, something watched them back. Far below, on Earth's hidden orbital base, Project Horizon, Commander Elena Hayes stood before a transparent wall, looking out into the endless black. Her reflection stared back, tired but sharp. The data streams behind her filled the room with soft blue light. "Are they still moving toward us?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," replied a young technician. "Verex fleet, 38 capital ships, 200 escorts. Estimated arrival in 17 hours. Elena nodded slowly. "Then it begins." She turned and walked down the long steel corridor. Soldiers stood at attention as she passed, each one wearing the patch of the newly formed Terran Defense Force. The world had changed fast in the last 10 years. When alien probes first entered the solar system, the nations of Earth had stopped fighting each other. Humanity had united under one flag, not out of love, but survival. For the first time in history, Earth had a single army, a single mission: survive what comes next. In the underground control room, General Marcus Wynn studied the tactical map. He was a large man with a scar that ran down his cheek, a reminder of the first alien raid years ago. "So, they're finally coming," he muttered. "They think we're easy prey." Elena stood beside him. "Let them think that. The less they expect, the harder they'll fall." Wynn's lips curved into a thin smile. "You sound confident, Commander." She met his eyes. "Not confident. Prepared." While the alien fleet moved closer, Earth went dark. Literally. Every city dimmed its lights. Civilian networks went offline. In orbit, the Terran fleet powered down its engines to hide from scanners. It wasn't much, a collection of refitted cargo ships and experimental cruisers, but they had one thing the Verex did not: human creativity. Hours passed. The Verex fleet entered the solar system, their massive engines cutting through the darkness like fire. To them, it was almost boring. Their sensors showed no movement, no threat. Earth hung silent and still. "Pathetic," Admiral Carthan said. "They don't even come to greet us." Then his second officer frowned. "Admiral, reading something strange. Gravitational fluctuations near the third moon of Jupiter." Carthan waved it off. "A mining station, perhaps. Ignore it." But it wasn't a station. Hidden behind the icy moon, 12 human warships waited in silence. The lead ship, Horizon's Edge, carried a weapon no alien had ever seen before. It was not built by one nation, but by every genius humanity could gather. A fusion of Earth's best science and something reverse-engineered from alien wrecks. It was risky, untested, and possibly suicidal. Elena's voice echoed across the comms. "All units, this is Commander Hayes. You know the plan. They think we're weak. Let's remind them who we are." "Roger that," replied Captain Idris from the Horizon's Edge. "Engaging in 3, 2, 1. The human ships broke cover, engines roaring to life. Blue trails of plasma carved through the void as they accelerated toward the enemy. The Varex fleet was taken by surprise, but not for long. Their ships turned and opened fire. Space lit up with energy beams and explosions. Metal and fire danced in silence. Inside the horizon's edge, alarms screamed. "Shields at 40%, someone shouted. "Keep firing," Idris yelled. "Don't let them regroup." On the Vortex Prime, Admiral Carthan stood, furious. "They dare fight us with this? Crush them." And the Varex ships unleashed their wrath. Yet something strange happened. The first volley from the Dominion hit, but instead of breaking apart, the human ships absorbed the energy, redirecting it. Then, with a pulse of white light, the horizon's edge fired its new weapon. A beam, silent and pure, shot forward and split one of the alien battleships in half. The Dominion's bridge went silent. "What was that?" whispered Carthan. Elena watched from her command post as sensors showed the enemy ship vanish in seconds. "That," she said quietly, "is human desperation." In the background, Earth's orbital cannons began to awaken. The planet that looked helpless moments ago now glowed with hidden power. Energy shields formed, satellites came online, and more ships rose from the shadow of the moon. For the first time in centuries, the Varex Dominion hesitated. Admiral Carthan stared at the screen. "Impossible," he muttered. "No fleet can stop us." Far away, Elena Hayes watched him through the tactical feed. Her eyes were cold and calm. "You're right," she said softly. "No fleet can stop you, except ours." And the battle for humanity's survival had just begun. The black of space was no longer silent. It burned with light and death. Human ships moved between enemy lines like shadows, striking fast and vanishing. Every explosion painted the dark with fire. The Varex Dominion had never seen such a battle. For the first time, they were not the hunters, they were the hunted. Admiral Carthan stood on the bridge of Vortex Prime, his jaw tight. "How are they doing this?" he growled. "Their fleet is small, their ships are fragile." His science officer worked the controls, panic in his hands. "Admiral, their weapons are using reflected plasma energy. It feeds on our fire." Carthan slammed a clawed hand onto the console. "Then stop firing, fools. Close distance. Board them if you must." But closing distance with humans was not so easy. On the horizon's edge, Captain Idris leaned over his display. "They're adapting," he said to his crew. "They're trying to get close." Commander Hayes' voice came through the comms. "Keep them at range. Don't let them surround you. Our advantage is distance and surprise." "Understood," Idris replied. "We'll keep dancing." The human ships began to shift formation, twisting and rolling through debris and shattered hulls. It looked almost chaotic, but every move was planned. They were smaller, faster, and desperate enough to fight like no other species would dare. Inside Horizon's edge, the crew worked like a single heartbeat. Sparks fell from the ceiling, smoke filled the air, but no one stopped. A mechanic shouted, "Reactor temperature rising." Idris barked back, "Let it rise. We'll burn with it if we have to." On Earth, General Wynne watched from the control room, sweat running down his temple. "We're losing ships," he whispered. "But they're holding the line." Elena stood beside him, arms crossed. "They'll buy us the time we need." He looked at her. "Time for what?" She turned toward the holographic map. "For the surprise they're not expecting." In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden for years, another secret human project was waking up, Project Leviathan. It was not a ship. It was a weapon the size of a city, built from the bones of a captured alien dreadnought. It had been Earth's most guarded secret, powered by something no human scientist truly understood. Dr. Kaito Ren, chief engineer of the project, stood before the massive core chamber. "Commander Hayes, this is Ren," he said through the comlink. "Leviathan is ready for ignition. But I must warn you, once we start, we cannot stop it." Elena's voice was steady. Then don't stop. Ren took a deep breath. Understood. Beginning activation sequence. Far away, the Vortex Prime detected a new signal. Massive, slow, and deep, like thunder rolling across the void. Admiral, the officer said, his voice trembling. Something's powering up behind the asteroid belt. Carthan turned sharply. Show me. The screen filled with a shape that blocked the stars. It was not sleek like Dominion ships, it was brutal, covered in armor, human in every sense. Its core pulsed with blinding light. What in the void is that? Carthan whispered. The computer translated the human transmission. Project Leviathan, active. The alien bridge went silent. Then, Leviathan fired. A massive beam of white-blue light tore across space, faster than sound, faster than fear. It struck the Dominion's front line, and 5 of their ships vanished in an instant. The beam didn't explode, it erased. Where it hit, there was nothing left but drifting particles and silence. On Earth, people in bunkers watched the live feed and cheered. Across the human colonies, every screen showed the same image, humanity striking back. Admiral Carthan staggered. Impossible. They had nothing like this. How did they? His voice cut off as another beam ripped through his flank. Elena's voice echoed through the fleet. This is for every world you burned. For every city you turned to dust. Humanity stands today, not as prey, but as predators. But victory would not come easy. The Leviathan's weapon drained its power faster than Ren had expected. Warning lights flashed across the control room. Core overheating. We'll lose control if we fire again. Divert power. Elena ordered. It won't be enough. Ren shouted. If it goes critical, we'll take half the solar system with us. Elena hesitated. For a heartbeat, she said nothing. Then she spoke quietly. Do it anyway. Ren stared at the command screen. You're asking me to risk everything. She replied. We already are. Meanwhile, on the Vortex Prime, Carthan roared orders. All ships, full retreat from the weapons range. Regroup behind the Moon Titan. We'll crush their command center and end this. The Varex ships began to move, breaking formation. But the humans had already predicted it. Captain Idris smiled grimly. They're falling back. Just where we want them. He turned to his weapons officer. Prepare the final strike. Let's make them remember our name. As the human ships advanced, their engines glowed brighter. The horizon's edge led the charge, followed by the surviving cruisers. Plasma trails crossed the stars like lightning. On Earth, every screen showed the same sight. Tiny human ships diving into the heart of an alien armada far larger than themselves. The battle became a storm of light, each flash marking courage, sacrifice, and defiance. And then, amid the chaos, a massive explosion burst near Jupiter's orbit. Leviathan's core overloaded, sending a shockwave that cut through friend and foe alike. Every ship, human and alien, was thrown off course. For a moment, all systems went dark. When the lights returned, the stars looked different. Silence filled the comms. Elena's voice finally came through, weak but calm. This is Commander Hayes. Status report. Static. Then a voice. This is Horizon's Edge. We're still here. Barely. Elena closed her eyes in relief. Good. Because the war isn't over yet. On the other side of the void, Admiral Carthan stood on his ruined bridge. Sparks fell around him. He stared at the broken screens and whispered, "They should not have been able to do this." He turned toward the dark void ahead, his eyes burning with hate. "Prepare the Second Fleet," he said. "If humanity wants a war, we'll give them one." And somewhere in the black, far beyond the solar system, something else began to move. Something even the Varex feared. The real war for humanity had only just begun. Days passed, but space never slept. The wreckage of battle still drifted in the void. Broken ships, frozen bodies, pieces of metal glowing faintly as they reflected the distant sun. Humanity had won their first real fight against the Verex Dominion. Yet victory felt hollow. Too many ships were lost. Too many lives were gone. Commander Elena Hayes stood before the cracked window of the Orbital Base Horizon Command, staring at the silent remains of the Leviathan. Its body floated above Earth like a dead giant, still smoking from the explosion that saved them all. General Wynne entered the room quietly. His face was tired, his uniform burned at one shoulder. "We did it," he said softly. Elena didn't smile. "We survived. That's not the same thing." He stepped beside her. "You think they'll come back?" "They will," she said, her voice cold. "And next time, they won't underestimate us." Far across the galaxy, deep within the nebula fields of the Verex Dominion, Admiral Carthan stood before the High Council. The chamber was vast, built of dark metal and glowing veins of red energy. The air hummed with tension. The council members, ancient beings with silver skin and eyes like molten glass, stared down at him. "You failed," hissed the first speaker. "You told us humans were nothing." Carthan knelt, his claws pressed to the cold floor. "They should have been nothing," he said. "Their technology is primitive. But they have something we did not expect." "Explain," the speaker demanded. Carthan raised his eyes. "They fight like cornered beasts. They do not surrender. They turn their weakness into weapons. Even our own fire feeds them. And," he hesitated, "they built something. A weapon that erased ships from existence." The chamber went silent. Then a voice from the shadows spoke. "Perhaps they found it." Carthan frowned. "Found what?" The shadow stepped forward. It was the council's secret advisor, a being wrapped in black armor, face hidden beneath a mask of metal. "Long ago, before the Dominion ruled the stars, there was another species. Older. Stronger. We destroyed them, or so we thought. They called themselves the Elysians. Their weapons could bend energy, their ships ran on light itself. If humans built something similar." The room trembled slightly, as if the word carried weight through the ages. "You think the humans discovered Elysian tech?" Carthan asked. The masked figure nodded. "If that's true, humanity is not our only problem. The Elysians may still exist, watching." The council murmured, nervous for the first time. Carthan rose slowly. "Then allow me to lead the Second Fleet. I will burn Earth to ash before these Elysians rise again." The first speaker's voice echoed through the hall. "You will have your fleet. 1,000 ships. No mercy." Carthan bowed deeply, his eyes burning with vengeance. Back on Earth, the Terran Defense Force worked day and night. Factories on Mars built new warships from salvaged alien wrecks. Engineers studied Verex technology, mixing it with human design. The result was fast, ugly, and powerful, ships with alien engines but human control. In the labs under Project Horizon, Dr. Kaito Ren worked tirelessly. His team studied what remained of Leviathan's weapon core. It was strange, part machine, part something else. The energy inside it was alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ren frowned as he ran a scanner over it. "This isn't Verex tech," he whispered. "This is older." His assistant looked up. "Older than what?" "Older than us all." Meanwhile, in the command room, Elena received a message from deep space. The signal was faint, repeating every 30 seconds. General Wynne asked, "What is it?" "Another Verex transmission." Elena shook her head. "No. It's not in their language. It's different." She played the sound. A soft tone, like a voice speaking through light itself. Then a translated pattern appeared on the screen. "We warned them once. They did not listen. Now you must choose, humans, fight or flee." The room fell silent. Wynne frowned. "Who sent that?" Elena stared at the screen. "Whoever they are, they know what's coming." Hours later, the skies above Mars turned red. Long-range sensors detected movement at the edge of the solar system. Not a few ships, thousands. The Varek's second fleet had arrived. The alarm spread across every colony and outpost. Earth went dark again, preparing for war. The repaired fleet assembled near the moon, hundreds of ships, each carrying the weight of an entire world's hope. Elena stood on the command bridge of the rebuilt Horizon's edge, her uniform torn, her eyes hard. "This is Commander Hayes to all Terran units. We've faced them once. We'll face them again. They think we're small. They think we'll break. But they don't understand what it means to be human." Her voice echoed through the fleet. "Hold the line. For every city they burned. For every name we lost. We fight as one." And in the distance, the stars began to move, the Varek's ships arriving like a wave of black steel and fire. Admiral Carthan's voice boomed across all channels. "Humanity! You were given a chance to surrender. You refused. Now, your world dies screaming." Elena smiled faintly. "Then come and try." The second war for Earth began. The first blasts lit up the void, shaking every ship. Missiles streaked between planets, beams tore through space, and explosions flashed brighter than the sun. Human ships fought with reckless courage, weaving through the enemy's formation. The Dominion fired in perfect order, but humanity fought with chaos, unpredictability, and rage. Amid the chaos, Dr. Wren shouted over his comms. "Commander! The signal we received earlier, it's growing stronger. It's coming from the same direction as the Varek's fleet." Elena frowned. "What do you mean?" Wren's voice was trembling. "I mean something else is coming, faster than both of us." Suddenly, every radar lit up. A third force, massive ships of unknown design, appeared from hyperspace. Their hulls shimmered like glass, glowing faintly blue. They didn't fire on the humans, or the Varek's. They just appeared, surrounding both armies like silent gods. Carthan stared at the new arrivals in disbelief. "Who are they?" Elena whispered. "I think we just met the Elysians." And then, across every radio, a calm voice spoke in perfect English. "War has returned to our stars. You have both gone too far." The stars dimmed. Every ship, human and alien, froze. The light from the Elysian ships grew brighter until it filled the void like dawn breaking after eternal night. The war paused, but something far greater had just begun. The void grew still. Not a single engine roared, not a single laser fired. Even the stars seemed dim under the presence of the new fleet. Humanity's ships trembled in orbit around Mars. The Varek's Dominion's fleet halted in mid-space, massive silhouettes of black steel frozen like statues. And above them all, the Elysians glowed like living constellations. Commander Elena Hayes gripped the rail of the Horizon's edge, her knuckles white. Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. They're not attacking us." General Wynn's face was pale. "Then why are they here?" From the largest Elysian ship, a single projection of light appeared. A figure, tall and elegant, radiating calm and power. Its voice echoed through every channel, clear and soft. "I am Caliph of the Elysians," it said. "We have watched your species and the Varek's for centuries. War has returned to these stars. You do not yet understand the cost of your actions." Admiral Carthan growled. "Cost? You should bow before the Dominion. Humanity is nothing." Calitha's form shifted, its light bending around it like liquid. "Nothing? They fought against a fleet that would have destroyed their world. They survived where others fell. That is the difference." Elena straightened, her voice steady. "You saw what they did, and you called it nothing?" Calitha's eyes, if they could be called eyes, glimmered. "I did not call it nothing. I said you do not yet understand the consequences of such power. The Leviathan you built, the technology you reverse-engineered, it is dangerous beyond your comprehension." Dr. Kaito Ren, still aboard the horizon's edge, stared at his monitors. "They know about Leviathan," he whispered to Elena. She nodded grimly. "They know. And I think they can destroy it if they want." Kalitha's voice spread through all channels again. "Humans, Varex, listen. You have a choice. Cease this war, or continue, and I will intervene. Intervention is not the same as defense. It is final judgment." Admiral Carthan's yellow eyes flared. "You threaten the Dominion? You think we will kneel to ghosts?" Kalitha's projection rippled with blue light. "I do not threaten. I inform. You are young and reckless. You have awakened forces older than your fleets, older than your empires. And now, you face a choice you cannot refuse." The humans and the Varex ships both trembled. Silence stretched across the void. Even the smallest fighter ships shivered, as if sensing the weight of what was said. Elena turned to her crew. "We knew the Varex would return, stronger. But we didn't know this." She paused. "We have to decide. Do we continue fighting, or listen?" General Wynne muttered, "Listen? To an alien species that might destroy everything anyway." She shook her head. "It's not just listening. They know about Leviathan. They could destroy it, or worse, destroy the entire system if we act recklessly again." Carthan slammed a clawed hand on his console. "You are weak. Humanity is weak. You will obey us, not them." Kalitha's voice cut through like a calm storm. "And that is why you will fall. You do not see the balance of the stars. Your arrogance blinds you. If war continues, you will be extinguished, along with your fleets." Then Kalitha's projection shifted, and every human screen filled with the image of countless planets, broken, smoldering, dead. This is what happens when young species ignore the rules of the cosmos. Power without understanding leads only to destruction. Elena swallowed hard. "They're showing us what could happen if we fail." Dr. Ren whispered. "If they can do that, they could probably wipe out the Varex fleet with a thought." Elena took a deep breath. She had to make a choice, not for herself, not for her crew, but for humanity. We have to show them we're responsible. We have to stop attacking first. Let's send a message." General Wynne raised an eyebrow. "A message? After what they've done to us?" "Yes," Elena said firmly. "If we continue, Leviathan will die, and the Varex may destroy everything. If we pause, we might live, and learn." Across the void, Carthan's fury boiled over. "This is betrayal. Stop them. Fire on their ships." Kalitha's voice cut sharply. "Do not move. Any aggression will be considered final. Your fleets will not survive. Humans, you will act with wisdom, or all is lost." Elena's voice went out over the human channels. "All units, stand down. No attacks. No strikes. Focus on shields and defense only. We wait." Her crew hesitated, but her calm determination was contagious. Slowly, weapons cooled. Engines idled. Silence returned, though the tension was almost unbearable. Kalitha's projection lingered, scanning every ship, human and Varex alike. "This is your chance to show intelligence, courage, and restraint. Fail, and the stars themselves will judge you." Admiral Carthan snarled. "We will not bow to a ghost." Elena's voice was steady. "Then you will burn. But we will survive. And if the Elysians are watching, maybe they will see the difference between strength and cruelty." Kalitha's light pulsed once. "Wait, then. Observe. Decide." And with that, the Elysians faded from view, leaving both fleets staring at one another, suspended in the quiet aftermath of a war paused. The choice was clear. Continue the fight, or listen, and hope humanity's courage and restraint were enough to survive the judgment of the stars. In that frozen silence, Elena whispered to herself, "We've survived once. We can survive again, But this time, it's more than a battle. It's a test. Far away, Admiral Carthan bared his teeth. Test or not, humans. I will not forget this humiliation. And somewhere beyond, the Elysians watched, patient, ancient, and unyielding, as the fate of humanity and the Dominion hung by a thread. The void was quiet, but it wasn't safe. Human ships hovered near Mars and the asteroid belt, engines idling, shields humming. The Verax fleet lingered in the shadows of Jupiter's orbit, massive and deadly, waiting for the humans to make a mistake. Above them all, the Elysians watched silently, their presence unseen yet felt like gravity itself. Commander Elena Hayes stood on the horizon's edge, staring at the slowly moving Verax formations. Her crew worked in near silence, each member tense, ready for the next command. "They're testing us," she said softly. "They want to see what we'll do next." General Wynne leaned on the console. "Or they want to see how long we can survive." Elena didn't answer immediately. Her eyes traced the formation of enemy ships, noting every angle, every possible weakness. "Then we'll give them a reason to watch," she said finally. "Not just survive, but fight smart." The first step was simple: deception. Using small human fighters with new cloaking tech adapted from captured Verax ships, they launched a silent strike team toward the Dominion's rear. The ships were slow, fragile, but nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Captain Idris led the squadron. "Remember, stay hidden. We strike, disable their engines, and get out. No heroics." As the cloaked ships darted between asteroids, they encountered their first patrol. A Verax frigate moved too fast, scanning every shadow. Idris held his breath. Then, with a flick of his wrist, the squadron released a cloud of energy decoys, simple, low-tech, yet highly effective. The alien sensors picked up multiple false targets, and the patrol zoomed straight into the trap, slamming into an asteroid and exploding. "Good work," Idris whispered. "Keep moving." Back on the main human fleet, Elena coordinated the larger strike. Leviathan's remnants had been partially rebuilt, a smaller but fully functional weapon system now mounted on the horizon's edge. Its purpose wasn't destruction alone, it was to force the Verax into mistakes. "Target their supply ships," Elena ordered. "We can't destroy the entire fleet yet, but we can weaken them." Missiles and guided drones streaked silently through the void. The supply ships carried fuel and munitions for the Verax fleet. When a single drone detonated near one, a chain reaction ripped through the small convoy. Explosion after explosion sent debris tumbling toward the Verax battle lines, forcing them to change formation. On the Vortex Prime, Carthan's yellow eyes burned. "What trickery is this?" His science officer panicked. "They're manipulating the debris. Using the asteroids, the wreckage. It's tactical." "Impossible," Carthan roared. "No primitive species can fight like this." "But humanity could." Elena smiled faintly. "It's not impossible," she said to herself. "It's human." The Verax fleet adjusted, trying to regroup, but every move was anticipated. Cloaked human fighters hit weak points in the armor, drones disrupted sensor arrays, and the rebuilt Leviathan pulsed its energy, forcing the Dominion to split its focus. For the first time, humans weren't just surviving, they were controlling the battle. Then came the unexpected. From the depths of the outer solar system, a second Elysian signal arrived. This time, it wasn't a warning. It was a single phrase repeated in every language. "Creativity is strength. Use it wisely." The human crews felt a strange surge, almost like confidence amplified. Ideas sparked. They began improvising faster than anyone could predict. A small repair ship detached from the main fleet, carrying experimental plasma mines. It maneuvered straight into the path of a Verax formation and dropped the mines, which detonated in sequence, tearing a hole in the alien lines. "Nice thinking," Elena said to the pilot, who gave a thumbs up over comms. On the Vortex Prime, panic spread like wildfire. The Verax Dominion was unprepared for unpredictable, intelligent tactics. Ships began colliding, formations breaking apart. Carthan's clawed hands slammed the console again and again. Stop them. All units. Fire everything. But firing indiscriminately only made things worse. The human fleet used the chaos to slip through, striking key points. Fuel tanks, engines, weapons, human ingenuity turned the Dominion's strength into their weakness. Then, a human scout ship approached the Vortex Prime itself, flying fast, small, and almost invisible. Captain Idris spoke calmly. We don't need to destroy it, just slow it down. A single well-placed EMP charge hit the alien flagship, freezing its systems for critical seconds. Alarms blared across the Dominion. In those moments, the human fleet maneuvered into positions previously impossible. Elena watched on the tactical display, heart pounding. This is it. Hold the line. Push them back. Every shot, every maneuver, every strategy had one goal. Show that humanity wasn't just capable of survival, they could think, adapt and innovate under pressure. In the observation deck, Dr. Wren whispered, "They're doing it. The Varex can't handle it. We're winning, not just by force, but by mind." Elena nodded, her eyes on the glowing blue markers of enemy ships falling back. And the Elysians are watching. For the first time, the humans understood what Caliph had meant. Strength alone wouldn't win. Creativity, courage, and quick thinking, those were the weapons no fleet, no empire, could predict. Carthan growled from the Vortex Prime. This is not over. Humanity will burn. Elena smiled faintly, fingers tightening on the console. Not today. Today, we show them what humans are capable of. The human fleet surged forward, fast, clever, and unstoppable. Not because they had the largest fleet or the strongest weapons, but because they had something no Varex could ever understand. The will to survive and the mind to fight smarter than any machine or empire. And far beyond, in the quiet glow of space, the Elysians observed, their light pulsing once, as if acknowledging humanity's first true victory. The war was far from over. But for the first time, humanity had proved one thing. No fleet, no empire, could predict the heart of a human. The void was alive again, but this time with a sense of dread. The Varex Dominion was not beaten. They were humiliated, yes, but humiliation bred vengeance. Admiral Carthan's fleet regrouped near Saturn, repaired quickly with alien technology, engines glowing with deadly intent. Every ship bore marks of the last battle, yet the Varex were stronger, faster, and angrier. Commander Elena Hayes studied the tactical display aboard the Horizon's Edge. They're regrouping, she said, her eyes scanning the incoming fleet. And they're bringing reinforcements. Larger ships, heavier armor. General Wynne stepped beside her, concern etched on his face. Do we have the numbers to handle this? Elena shook her head slowly. Not by fleet size, but by strategy, yes. We've seen what they fear, unpredictability, creativity. We'll make them hesitate again. The human fleet adjusted, deploying decoys, drones, and new plasma mines. Every ship moved like pieces on a chessboard, calculated yet fluid. Meanwhile, deep in the Varex flagship Vortex Prime, Carthan's yellow eyes glowed with fury. They think this is over, he snarled. They will learn that we adapt. That we destroy everything in our path. On the observation deck, Carthan studied the human formations. Their tactics were clever, he admitted begrudgingly. But cleverness can be broken. Predictability can be forced. At that moment, the humans noticed something strange. In the distance, where the Elysians had appeared before, the stars flickered unnaturally. A wave of energy passed silently, almost invisible. It pushed against both fleets, not harming, but rearranging, nudging ships off course, forcing instant adaptation. Dr. Kaito Ren stared at the readings. It's them again, he whispered. The Elysians. But they're not attacking. They're guiding. Elena frowned. Guiding or warning? Before anyone could answer, the Varex initiated the first strike. Massive beams tore through space, aiming directly for the human front lines. The Terran fleet responded instantly, dodging, weaving, and using the newly deployed mines. Explosions lit the void, but the human ships survived, as if predicting the attack before it came. Captain Idris grinned, though sweat ran down his face. They're hitting us harder, but we can keep up. Just follow the plan. The human strategy was daring. Small groups would feint, drawing the Varex into ambushes created by debris fields and hidden plasma traps. Every attack forced the Dominion to overextend, making their massive ships vulnerable. And then came the unexpected. From behind the Varex fleet, the Elysians appeared, silently, in massive formation. Their ships didn't fire. They simply positioned themselves, creating a shimmering barrier that humans and Varex alike had to navigate. Kalitha's voice echoed through the comms, calm yet powerful. Humans, Varex, you may continue your battle, but know this: any action that endangers the solar system beyond repair will be stopped. The choice is yours. Carthan's roar of anger echoed across space. You threaten me, alien. We will destroy them first. But the Elysians did not retaliate. They waited, watching every move, guiding indirectly, creating invisible pressure that reshaped the battlefield. Human ships took advantage, striking precisely where the Varex were weakest. For the first time, a massive human strike group managed to destroy a Varex battleship's main engine without being detected beforehand. The explosion sent debris into surrounding ships, causing confusion and panic. Elena watched the screen, heart racing. They're panicking. Keep pushing. Use every trap, every trick. In orbit around Titan, human engineers unleashed another surprise: the repurposed Leviathan drones. Smaller, faster, and automated, they swarmed the Varex fleet, forcing them to divide fire and attention. Every move humans made was calculated, adaptive, unpredictable, exactly what the Varex feared most. Yet Carthan was not defeated. They will learn the cost of defiance, he growled. Prepare the heavy artillery. Fire everything. The beams tore through the void, slamming into human ships. Explosions rocked the horizon's edge, alarms screaming. Elena gritted her teeth. Hold formation. We're not breaking. Then, the Elysians intervened subtly. A soft pulse of energy redirected several of the Varex beams harmlessly into space. No ship was destroyed, but the humans understood the message. Survive, fight cleverly, and do not waste power on reckless attacks. Dr. Wren whispered to Elena, they're helping, but not fighting. Just enough to keep us alive. Elena nodded. Then we use that time wisely. Every second counts. The human fleet surged again, targeting weak points and forcing the Varex into defensive positions. The Dominion's second wave was powerful, but disorganized. Humanity's resilience, combined with clever tactics and a subtle push from the Elysians, kept the fleet from being annihilated. Carthan's rage grew with every moment. We will destroy them, even if it takes everything. Elena stood firm, calm despite the chaos. Then let them come. We'll show them again that humans are not easy prey. Every move they make, we've already planned for. And as the battle raged, the Elysians' presence remained, silent, mysterious, and infinitely powerful, a reminder that humanity was no longer alone in the stars, and that the tests of strength, courage, and creativity were far from over. The war for survival had escalated, and the stakes were higher than ever. But humanity had proven one undeniable truth: they could adapt, they could fight, and they could survive, no matter how impossible the enemy seemed. The void shimmered with fire and tension. Human ships hovered near Saturn, battered but unbroken. The Varex fleet, larger than ever, had regrouped and brought their full strength. The silence was heavy, broken only by distant explosions and the low hum of engines. Above them all, the Elysians observed, their light pulsing like a heartbeat across the darkness of space. Commander Elena Hayes stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, staring at the Varex flagship Vortex Prime. Her crew moved efficiently, shields and weapons optimized, every sensor manned. This was the moment humanity had been preparing for, a chance to strike decisively. General Wynne, Elena said, her voice calm but firm. This is it. We either end this here, or we fight endlessly and lose everything. Wynne nodded, eyes scanning the battle map. We've come this far. We can finish it, if we do it smartly. Elena turned to her communications officer. Send a broadcast to all human and allied ships. Focus fire on the Vortex Prime. Coordinate strikes, and aim for the engines and weapon systems. No ship acts alone. We win together. At the same moment, Admiral Carthan roared from the Vortex Prime. Humans! You think you've survived this long by luck? You will die today. Elena smiled faintly. Luck? No. Strategy, courage, and the human mind. That's what keeps us alive. The first wave of human ships darted forward, weaving through asteroid debris, launching plasma mines and drones. Every move was precise. Every attack coordinated. The Verex fleet fired relentlessly, but the humans' unpredictable tactics kept them alive. Then, a massive pulse of light appeared, Elysians again. This time, their ships surrounded the battlefield, forming a silent ring. Kalitha's voice echoed in every channel. Humans, you have shown courage and creativity beyond expectation. Verex, your arrogance and violence endanger the cosmos. The final judgment begins. The humans felt it immediately. Weapons that could have destroyed them fizzled harmlessly. Beams that should have shredded hulls diverted slightly, giving them advantage. The Elysians weren't fighting, but they were tipping the scales subtly, forcing balance and fairness. Captain Idris on the horizon's edge whispered to his crew, "We've got a chance. Take it." The humans executed a daring move. Cloaked strike teams slipped behind the Verex fleet, hitting engine nodes and weapon arrays. Explosions ripped through alien ships, sending massive vessels spinning helplessly. Admiral Carthan's fury erupted. Focus on the horizon's edge. Destroy it now. But Elena had anticipated it. Human ships deployed reflective drones, creating phantom targets. Verex beams fired at illusions, missing their mark while human weapons struck critical points. The Dominion's flagship lost speed, its shields flickering. In orbit above Titan, Dr. Kaito Ren monitored Leviathan's rebuilt core. "Commander, we can channel Leviathan one final time, enough to disable their main fleet, but it's risky. If we fail, it could destroy everything near Saturn." Elena clenched her jaw. "Do it. We've survived impossible odds before. We can do it again." The Leviathan core pulsed, energy flowing through the horizon's edge and into the fleet. A white-blue beam erupted, striking the Vortex Prime. Systems shut down, shields collapsed, and the massive ship trembled. The rest of the Verex fleet, seeing their flagship crippled, faltered. Carthan's roar turned to disbelief. "Impossible! They cannot destroy us." But humanity didn't just destroy, they outsmarted. Strike teams exploited the chaos, disabling engines and weapons across the Dominion's fleet. One by one, Verex ships fell, either disabled or retreating. Elena's voice rang over the comms, "All units, hold position. Do not pursue recklessly. Humanity wins not by vengeance, but by survival." Across the void, Kalitha's light pulsed brighter. "Humans, you have proven yourselves. You are capable of survival, of wisdom, and of strength tempered by restraint. Verex, your empire is broken. Learn, or fade." The Elysians revealed their final purpose. Their ships formed a shimmering field around the remaining Verex vessels, forcing them to retreat beyond the solar system. They spoke directly to humanity. "You have earned your place among the stars. But remember, power without wisdom is dangerous. Use it well." Elena exhaled, relief washing over her. The fleet was battered, yes, but alive. Humanity had not just survived, they had proven themselves. General Wynne smiled faintly. They acknowledged us. We did it." Elena looked at the stars, thinking of Earth, Mars, and the colonies. "We did more than survive. We showed them, humanity is not to be underestimated." Far beyond, the Elysians watched in silence. Their judgment complete, They withdrew, leaving humanity in control of its solar system, but aware that the galaxy was vast, dangerous, and filled with watchers who would test them again. Carthan's fleet retreated, licking wounds, but vowing revenge. Humanity had won today, but the war for respect in the cosmos had just begun. Elena turned to her crew. Today, we survive. Tomorrow, we thrive. Humanity has a future in the stars, and no fleet, no empire, will decide our fate for us. And in that moment, amid the wreckage and victory, the human fleet looked to the stars and understood something profound. Intelligence, courage, and creativity were weapons far stronger than any cannon. The stars were theirs. Humanity had arrived. The end.